Hello and welcome back to Module 3, Developing Your Own WeAre Family Tree Archive. So far, you've learned how to upload your family tree. Perhaps you've done that with a GEDCOM. I certainly did with mine. And by now, I hope you've had a chance to have a wee bit of an explore of the pool family tree, which is the demonstration tree when you first log in. In that demo tree, you should be able now to feel comfortable about where to go to find certain things that this software allows you to do. If not, go back and have another look at the demo tree. You'll find the access to that in the case study called Explore the Pool Family Tree. This tutorial today is going to help you with the design of your own family tree archive and to understand how the interactive archive builder works for you inside WeAre. There are some extra lessons below, one on how to plan, create and upload your content, also how to create a profile, a biography if you like, of one or more ancestors, how to navigate within your family tree, and a couple of story writing exercises that I think you might enjoy, such as how to write thematic narratives. And I've given you a reflective activity to see if you'd like to create one of those yourself. So Module 3 is quite busy, but it's all about understanding the design of your own family tree. So when we're looking at WeAre, there are several different components to it, and initially it can be a little confusing. So below this video, you'll see my planning board, which helps to explore and explain the various components of WeAre. You'll see a number of columns of information, and I'll share that with you in just a moment. I think that one is a really great way for you to understand what the interactive archive is all about. So to understand the structure of your archive, I've also got a couple of little examples for you in the notes below. The content creation consists of 7 different types of content, and I'll give you a brief overview of those and how you can use them. So this one is quite an intense tutorial, so let's get started. Here is that WeAre planning board that I spoke about a moment ago, and I have unpacked it for you with some screen images from my account at WeAre. You'll see that I've divided the components into 4 distinct areas. That is the family tree build, the ancestral data, the story collections, and the sharing options. Now, there are several different ways you can access the content. So there are a couple of menus that you should also be familiar with. At the top, you'll see there's a family room menu consisting of welcome, newsfeed, your tree, research and recollections, documents, media, occasions, artifacts and places. And inside an individual's room menu, you get similar items with the addition of a profile, the individual's tree, and facts about that ancestor. When you uploaded your family tree, hopefully you've done that, you've imported a GEDCOM, you've actually created your tree, and WeAre has done the rest for you. The next part of the build is to upload some photos that you might want to use for your profile images, and any content and detail that you want to add for occasions, artifacts, and place. In the ancestral data itself, the repositories for different types of data are shown below. For example, primary records such as birth, marriage, and death will go into your documents area. Heirlooms and memorabilia, that is, digital images of those, may go into your artifacts. And other types of images, photos, and videos will be stored inside media. The story collections, the main reason why you want to use this site, is also divided into different types of stories as well as different ways of displaying them. For example, for an individual ancestor, you can have profiles for each one. For the family itself, you can have narratives that appear inside articles. And for themed family narratives, you will also be able to use the blogs. So 3 different types of repositories for your stories here. And there's also 3 different ways you can share the final pieces of your tree. Stories, profiles, articles, and blogs, etc. You can share those with people outside of WeAre through links that you might generate through the share links, and you can send them via email or social media. You can also ask family members to come in and make a contribution to some of the details that you have in some of the story collections. And finally, you can share the tree with your family. You can invite registered users so they can actually help build the content for your tree. So there's quite a lot to do, and I suggest that you take things step by step. And you'll notice here on the left-hand side of this screen that I'm sharing with you are the next set of lessons that will help you take those small steps one by one. So let's get started on that first part of understanding how the archive works. And I want to share with you my own website for my own tree. So I'll just pause here for a moment and get that ready for you. I'm now in my WeAre account, and you're currently looking at the opening page for Carol's maternal family tree demo. And we're on the tab of this menu called Your Tree. If I go back along this set of breadcrumbs or menu items and select Welcome, this is what you will see when you first come to have a look at my demo tree. And there's a bit of text and a welcome to you as a reader of my family tree about the cutting family, with an image on the right-hand side and one of the subtrees to show who's involved in the cutting family. A little bit more text down here. You can do anything you like, of course, with your welcome page. Some of this was pre-designed by Simon, and I've just left that in place. So it gives a nice view and an overview for those who visit your tree. That's the welcome page. Anything that I've done recently will show up in my news feed. I might have done some profiles or added images or written stories. And these are the family updates. So you're seeing the most recent of those. So there are some images that I've uploaded and some articles with their titles showing here and here, and some ancestral imagery. So that's the news feed. Coming back to our tree though, this is where we need to understand what it is that we can see and what others can see when they come to our tree. Each one of these panels or tags relates to one ancestor. So clicking on Charles Cutting takes me to his tree. And you'll notice here that it already identifies it as Charles' tree. If I want to go back to the home, I use the top menu to take me back to the full family tree demo. Same here, if I click on Andrew, I'm now in Andrew's tree, and I should be able to find various things about each person. So I think in this case, I've uploaded some documents for Andrew, such as his military record, and that's the only one for him at the moment. I may also have some media for him. Nothing yet. I don't think I've got occasions, artifacts, or places for this particular ancestor, but I should have an article. Here we go. So this is the article about Andrew himself, and we can click on that to read more. This is his profile, and this is one of the first things that I suggest that you might like to do as you begin populating your tree with data about each ancestor. So a photo of Great Uncle Andy and some text about him, which is a short biography from his birth right through to his death. So going back again to home, if we want to do something similar for Mary Robinson, who is my grandmother, we should be able to see some interesting documents for her. Perhaps I haven't added them yet. An article or two. Yes, here we go. So here is Mary Jane's biography. A little bit about her life. So we can add any of those as we move through. So if we want to look at the facts that have come across into our tree from the GEDCOM, we go to the facts menu item and we can see them all displayed on the left with the various dates and events, and on the right hand side the parents, siblings and children. Notice that we can add others into the tree. Let's say you didn't have a particular ancestor listed and that person has since been born, or you found details about them. You can add as a child, add a significant other, perhaps for second or third marriages and so on. So you have the opportunity to add facts to the list of facts for every ancestor. Come back again to home. So you can see what's happening is that we've got links from each person on the tree to others. So for example, all the children of Charles and Mary shown below. Some photos I haven't got, unfortunately, for those children who died as infants. But I have some photos that I've added in place as profile images. And this is another task that you'll probably want to do fairly early on to really colorize your tree and make it come to life. And just adding a little profile image here is the next best thing to do. Go back again to home. A couple of other ways that you can view the tree and move around within it and get an idea of its depth and width is to go to these tags or tabs at the top. Families, for example, will show you the various family lines in generations for this particular tree. So on the left-hand side, these are my maternal ancestral names, and on the right-hand side will be paternal ancestral names for this particular family. I can click out of that and it will just disappear. If I go to the navigator next, you'll see that I can move around within the trees, not only by individuals, but over here by the paternal or maternal lines. Perhaps I said that back to front a moment ago. It doesn't matter. Let's go to the Robinson family, the maternal. And what it does here is gives you a separate subtree showing just the Robinson family. So it makes it easy to see the relationships and to see where you're up to in filling out the data for each family. But going back again to the navigator, I'll try the same for the paternal. And where you see the arrows at the top of one tab, or tag, I should say, it will take you to another generation further back that you researched. Same here. So it's a good way to understand how you can move around within your tree archive. Come back to Navigator, and we may just want to immediately go to one ancestor that's listed on this paternal side. So let's go to Anne Craddock, and it takes us to her tree. You can see Anne's tree here. Not much known about Anne at the moment. So coming back again to Navigator. You can, of course, go to particular family names, such as the Taylors. And in this case, it's just a couple of Taylors that belong to Anne Craddock. Her mother was Susan Taylor, and Susan Taylor's father was George Taylor. So you can see what you can do in moving around within your tree. Cancel out of that and come back to home. So I hope this helps you to understand the way in which all of your family links are made navigable inside WeAre. You never can lose any of your ancestors unless you permanently delete someone, which you can do. If you have the wrong person, of course, you can delete them. All right, so that's the demonstration now for how do you understand the archive, the interactive archive builder in WeAre. The final part of this tutorial is all about the content creation, or at least just a glimpse of what is possible. Within WeAre, you have 7 unique methods of adding content, which may include some or all of the following. For example, tree images. Remember I showed you that an image can be added to show that ancestor's portrait. You can have any type of media, from a JPEG through to a PDF file to a video. You can arrange your images into albums. You can write stories within articles. You can also add stories that are associated with special occasions, such as weddings, funerals. Plus, you can add stories about places that are significant to one ancestor or a whole family line. And finally, you can add images of artifacts that are important to your family, so heirlooms, etc. There are 7 different elements and 7 different ways to add them. So one of the best things to do is to familiarize yourself with what happens when you click Add Content. So I'll just show you that before we finish with this demonstration. Now I will share with you another of my trees, which is my paternal ancestry, and looking particularly at the information that I have about my dad, Cecil Henry Ellery, from 1900 to 1985. So we're currently in Cecil's tree, and we can see his parents here, Walter and Harriet, his wife, my mum, and some of his siblings and cousins along these lines. On the menu below his avatar picture, I can pop over to his profile, and that's where I would add a profile article, so something that talks about Cecil briefly to let people know what he was all about. And we can often do that from just the facts that we have about that ancestor, which we can see under the Facts tab. When we're ready to write stories about our recollections and research on the ancestor, we go to the Research and Recollections tab. In here, I have just the one article about his time in World War I. When I'm ready, I can add documents to this area here, which might include primary data, birth, marriage, and death. If I've got other media that I want to add for illustrating his stories, I would use the Media tab. You'll see here some that I've already added in place that have been tagged to his name. So a lot of information about his wartime experiences. I don't think I've got anything under occasions, no, nor artifacts at this point in time, but I believe under places, I've got a couple of little articles here. One that's talking about the family home that was called Rose Nook. This is the family in the garden. And another, which is all about his time at the Lucas RAF base in Scotland. And this one was a recent addition. And this is really focusing in on the place itself and the importance of it in telling the story about my dad. So you see it has a different look about it with the different background colors to other things that we may have seen. For example, if I go to the 1921 census reveals, we now have a blue background cover. And let's go back to use the navigator in this case and just go back along the paternal line and select waiting for the internet to catch up here with my clicking. And finally, there he is. Come back to him. Now, I could have done that by going to the home. So keep that in mind. There are several ways you can move around. So when I want to add things for this ancestor, I need to understand what each of these pieces is all about and make my plans accordingly. So I hope that has helped you unlock some of the mystery of WeAre and will help start you thinking about how you plan to populate with content of your own. I'll be back soon with more, but let's get started. First of all, if you've got your tree already uploaded, go back to it now and start navigating around it using some of those tools that I've shown you today, so that you feel comfortable within WeAre. Back soon.